Hey, and welcome to English Coffee House. I'm Daria.
And I'm Chris. We're really happy you're here with us.
Get comfortable.
And let's start with today's conversation.
I was thinking about something small this morning. I caught myself saying, I have to do so many things today, and the whole day immediately felt heavy.
Just from that one sentence.
Yeah, nothing had actually happened yet. I was just making coffee, standing in the kitchen, looking out the window. But the moment I said it like that, it felt as if the day had already become unfriendly.
I know that feeling. Sometimes the day is exactly the same, but the words around it change the atmosphere. It's strange how quickly that happens.
It really is. And I'm not even talking about pretending everything is wonderful. I don't mean that kind of thing. Just the way we name what's in front of us.
I think I do that a lot with work. If I say I'm behind, I feel tense straight away. But if I say I'm still in the middle of it, it feels different. Not easy exactly, just less like failure.
Yes, less final.
Exactly. Behind sounds like the story is already written, like I missed something important and now I'm trying to catch a train that already left.
And in the middle of it sounds human. It sounds like life is still moving.
Which it is most of the time. I think a lot of suffering comes from using very absolute language for very temporary situations.
That's true. We say always, never, everything, nothing, and most of the time it isn't true in that dramatic way. But in the moment, it feels true.
I used to say, I'm bad at meeting new people for years, and then of course every new conversation felt like proof of that sentence.
That kind of sentence can sit very deep, can't it?
Yeah, it stops being a description and becomes an identity. That's the part that's a little scary.
Because once something becomes identity, it's harder to question. If I say I'm tired today, that's one thing. But if I say I'm just a tired person, that lands somewhere else.
It becomes part of the furniture.
That's a very good way to say it.
And then you stop noticing it. It's just there, in the room, quietly, shaping everything.
I think relationships are full of that too. Not only the words we use about ourselves, but the words we use about each other. Sometimes people don't realize how powerful a repeated phrase can be.
Like what?
Even something that sounds harmless, saying, oh, here's the quiet one, or she's the emotional one, or that's just how she is. It can sound light, even affectionate. But after a while, it can make a person feel trapped inside one version of themselves.
Yes, I felt that before. Not in a cruel way, more in a casual way. Like people had a ready-made sentence for me and I started living inside it because it was easier than correcting it.
That's such a quiet thing, but it can be very strong.
And I think especially when the sentence is simple, people trust simple sentences. They sound tidy.
They do, even when life isn't tidy at all.
Especially then, maybe. I remember when I first moved abroad, I often described myself as the one who doesn't fully belong anywhere. And at the time, it felt honest. Maybe it was honest, but it also made me notice every moment of distance more than every moment of connection.
That makes sense.
If someone didn't understand a joke I made, I thought, see, there it is. If I felt awkward at a party, I thought, yes, that's because I'm outside things. I kept collecting evidence for a sentence I had already chosen.
And did you stop feeling that way, or did the words change first?
That's a good question. I think the words changed first, a little, not dramatically. I didn't suddenly become some different person, but I started saying I'm still building a place for myself, and that felt softer, less lonely somehow.
There's movement in that.
Yes, and effort, but not despair.
That's lovely. I think there's something kind about it without being fake.
I think that's what matters to me. I don't respond well to language that feels too polished or too motivational. It makes me step back from it.
Same. If the words are too bright, I don't believe them.
Exactly.
I need language that tells the truth, but not in a cruel way.
That's beautifully put.
Because people can be very cruel in the name of honesty. They say, I'm just being real, but sometimes they're just being harsh, and then that harshness stays in the body.
Yes, I've noticed that with self-talk, too. Some people speak to themselves as if they are trying to punish themselves into becoming better.
And it almost never sounds peaceful.
No, it sounds like living with a very strict roommate in your head.
Oh, that's too accurate.
A terrible roommate, always dissatisfied, never impressed.
Leaves notes everywhere.
Exactly. This could have been done faster. Why did you say that? That wasn't good enough.
No music allowed, no sitting down for too long.
No second cup of coffee without guilt.
Well, then I would move out immediately. Same.
But it's true. And the strange thing is sometimes that voice doesn't even sound like us. It sounds borrowed, like it came from somewhere else long ago and just stayed.
A teacher, a parent, a difficult period, an old environment. And then one day you hear yourself say something and think, wait, do I actually believe that?
That moment should be unsettling.
It can, but also a little freeing.
Yes, because once you hear it clearly, it's no longer invisible.
I had that with the word productive. For a long time, I used it as if it was the same thing as worthy. If I had a productive day, I felt calm, and if not, I felt slightly ashamed, even if the day had been full in other ways.
It's such a common one.
Very common and a bit sad, I think.
It is, because life includes so much that can't be measured that way. A slow conversation, a walk where nothing is decided, sitting with someone who's upset, or even resting properly. None of that fits neatly into the language of productivity.
But it shapes a life more than we admit.
Definitely.
Sometimes the most meaningful parts of a week are the parts that would look like nothing if you wrote them on paper.
I've had that at evenings like that. No achievement, no big event, just making dinner, talking to someone I love, maybe washing the dishes slowly, hearing rain outside. And then later I realized that was actually the part that held everything together.
Yes, the invisible center.
That's lovely.
I think we often use grand language for things that are actually quite empty, and very small language for things that matter deeply.
We use just a lot.
We do. Just a chat, just a phase, just tired, just a little thing.
Just a friend.
That one has caused some confusion in human history.
A little bit, yes.
There's something almost protective about the word jest. It makes things sound manageable, but it can also erase them.
Or hide their importance until much later.
Yes, I've done that with feelings, saying I'm just a bit off today when actually something deeper is moving and I know it.
Maybe just gives us time, a softer entrance.
That's true too. Not every understatement is denial. Sometimes it's just how a person approaches something slowly.
I think so. Not everyone can say the full thing immediately. Sometimes the small phrase is the door into the bigger truth.
And that's a generous way to see it.
Maybe because I've needed that for myself. I don't always arrive at what I feel in a straight line.
I don't think many people do.
No, we circle around it. We test the language first.
Like touching water before stepping in.
Exactly.
I've noticed too that language can change the emotional temperature of memory. This same event can feel different depending on the words you choose years later.
Yes, that's very real.
You can say, that period ruined me. Or you can say, that period changed me. Both may come from pain, but they don't leave the same aftertaste.
One closes the door. The other lifts it slightly open.
And again, it's not about making pain sound neat. Some experiences are genuinely devastating, but the words we return to over and over become part of how we carry them.
I felt that with regret. For a while, I kept saying, I wasted so much time. And every time I said it, I felt heavy, almost embarrassed in front of my own life.
That's a painful sentence.
It is. Then one day, maybe because I was tired of hearing it, I said, I didn't know then what I know now. And it didn't remove the regret, but it changed the feeling from contempt to sadness. And sadness was easier to hold than contempt.
That's a very important difference.
Yeah, one leaves room for tenderness. The other doesn't.
Tenderness is such an underrated quality in language.
It is. People often think tenderness makes speech vague or weak, but actually it can be very precise.
Yes, very precise. Sometimes the gentlest sentence is the most accurate one.
And maybe the hardest one to say.
Definitely.
Do you ever notice how different people speak about time? I think that shapes life too.
In what way?
Some people will always say, it's too late, even when they're talking about things that are still very possible. Other people say, there's still time, and they seem to live in a different emotional world.
That's true, and both phrases can come from experience, I think. Sometimes it's too late is a protective sentence. It saves you from hoping.
Yes, hope can feel expensive.
Very expensive sometimes.
But there's still time can also be quiet, not dramatic. It doesn't have to be this huge declaration. It can just mean the story is not over yet.
I like that version of it. Not loud hope, just open time.
Open time, that's nice.
I wonder if this is why certain conversations stay with us for years. Not because they were long or profound in an obvious way, but because someone used words that opened something instead of closing it.
I think that happens all the time. A sentence can become a room you'll live in for years. I still remember a friend telling me once, very casually, you don't have to become smaller to make a situation easier. And I remember going quiet because I had been doing exactly that without naming it.
That's one of those sentences that enters very deeply.
Yes, it didn't sound dramatic, but it reorganized something.
I had a similar moment when someone said to me, "You're allowed to change your mind without turning it into a personal failure." It sounds simple, but I think I needed to hear those exact words.
That would stay with me too.
It did, because I had tied consistency so tightly to goodness. I thought changing my mind meant I had been careless before, but sometimes it just means I became more honest.
Or more aware.
Yes.
It's interesting, isn't it, how a sentence can give permission without even trying to.
And sometimes permission is all a person was waiting for.
Hmm.
I think that's also why some homes feel light and some feel heavy, not only because of what happens there, but because of the language that fills the rooms.
That's true. Homes have vocabularies.
They really do.
Some homes are full of rushed language, functional language, necessary language, which is understandable. Life can be tiring. But then there are homes where someone says, take your time, or I'm listening, or we'll figure it out. And the whole emotional climate changes.
Yes, even the air feels different.
And you carry that into adulthood without always noticing.
Sometimes when people say they want peace, I think part of what they want is a different language around them. Fewer sharp edges, fewer sentences that demand, judge, or hurry.
That feels true to me.
Not silence exactly, just language that lets a nervous system unclench a little.
That may be one of the most beautiful things words can do. It makes me think of the way some people apologize. There's sorry, and then there's I know that hurt you. The second one lands very differently.
Because it shows presence.
Yes, it doesn't just try to end the tension quickly. It stays with the reality of what happened.
Language can rush us away from reality or bring us closer to it.
And closeness is often quieter than people expect.
That's true. Real closeness rarely needs huge features.
Just careful words, or honest ones, or even a pause at the right moment.
I love that, because pauses are a part of language too.
Definitely. Sometimes what someone doesn't force into a sentence tells you a lot.
A thoughtful pause can feel incredibly respectful.
Yes, it says, I'm here with this. I'm not trying to cover it too quickly.
That kind of presence is rare.
And unforgettable when it happens.
I think that's maybe what I keep coming back to. The words we use aren't only labels. They carry pace, mood, and intention. They can tighten a life or soften it. They can flatten experience or make room for it.
And once you notice that, it's hard not to hear language differently.
In yourself, too.
Especially in yourself.
Not in a stressful way, though. More like curiosity.
Yes, curiosity is important. Otherwise, it becomes another performance. Another voice saying, now say everything perfectly.
Which sounds exhausting.
Completely exhausting.
No, I think it's more that sometimes you hear yourself say something and you pause for half a second and think, do I want to keep living inside that sentence?
That's exactly it.
And sometimes the answer is yes, because some sentences really hold us. They remind us who we are in a good way.
Like which ones?
Oh, maybe I can be quiet without despairing. Or this matters to me. Or even something simple like, I'm not ready yet, said without shame.
Those are strong.
What about you?
I think mine would be, I'm allowed to take my time becoming myself. I don't know, that sentence always makes me breathe a little more deeply.
It did the same to me, actually.
Maybe because so much of modern life pushes the opposite idea. Decide faster, improve faster, speak faster, recover faster, understand faster.
Yes, and maybe some of the gentlest language resists that pace without making a big show of resisting it.
Just by saying not yet or slowly, or I'm still learning this part.
There's a lot of dignity in those phrases.
There is.
It's funny. We started with a sentence in the kitchen, and now here we are.
That's usually how it goes.
A tiny phrase opens a whole door.
Maybe it always does. We just don't always walk through it.
In some days, maybe it's enough just to notice the door is there.
Yes, that already changes something.
It does.
Even very quietly.
Quietly is often enough. I think that's what I like most, actually. Not the idea of changing your whole life with one perfect sentence, just noticing that the tone of your inner world can shift a little.
Yes, a little is enough to matter.
Sometimes more than enough.
And maybe that's why certain words stay with us for years. Not because they solve anything, but because they make life feel slightly more livable.
Slightly more livable is a beautiful standard.
It is, isn't it? Very modest, very human.
And honest, there are days when better feels too ambitious, but more livable, that feels possible.
I agree. It leaves space for reality.
I've been thinking too about the words we use when we talk about ordinary days, whether we call them boring, quiet, empty, or just simple.
That changes a lot.
It does, because some of the nicest parts of life are not exciting at all. They're just steady.
And steady can sound dull if you say it the wrong way, but it can also sound deeply comforting.
Exactly. I think when I was younger, I wanted life to feel meaningful in a visible way. Something clear, something dramatic enough to recognize immediately.
And now?
Now, I think meaning is often much softer than that. It's in repeated things, familiar things. The way someone says your name, the sound of a kettle, coming home and knowing how the room will smell.
Yes, that kind of meaning almost disappears if your language only values what is big.
That's so true.
I think I've learned to trust quieter words more, not only in speech, but in how I understand my days. Enough, here, still, today. They don't sound impressive, but they feel solid.
They really do. They don't ask life to become something else before you can live it.
Now they let you stay with what's already there.
There's something peaceful in that.
I think peace often arrives through ordinary language, not grand ideas, just simple phrases that stop us from fighting with reality for a moment.
This is where I am. This is a hard day. This is a good moment. Nothing dramatic, just clear.
And clear without being cold.
Yes, that matters.
It does, because cold language can sound efficient, but it rarely helps me feel more alive.
Now, alive is the word, really.
I know what you mean.
When language gets too harsh or too polished, I feel far away from myself. But when it feels true and gentle at the same time, I come back a little.
Back into your own life.
Exactly.
I think that's one of the quiet powers of conversation, too. Sometimes another person lends you language until you can find your own.
That's lovely.
It's true, though. Someone says something simple and suddenly your experience feels more legible.
More shareable, maybe.
Yes, less lonely.
Less lonely is such a big thing.
It really is.
Maybe that's part of why these kinds of conversations matter. Not because they produce answers, but because they make space around things that are usually rushed past.
Or reduced to quick labels.
Yes.
And once space appears, people breathe differently.
You can feel it sometimes, even in yourself. A sentence lands and your shoulders drop a bit.
I had that when you said the invisible center earlier. I'm still thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah, because I think a lot of life is held together by things we barely name properly. Quiet evenings, unremarkable routines, the people we can exhale around.
The people we can exhale around. That's very beautiful.
I think it might be one of the best ways to describe closeness.
I think so too.
And it makes me wonder how many important parts of life become clearer when we stop demanding brilliant language from them.
Maybe they were never asking for brilliant language. Maybe they were only asking to be noticed.
That feels right.
That everything important arrives with a big voice.
Most important things probably don't.
No, they arrive quietly, and if we're lucky, we have the words for them, or almost the words.
And sometimes almost is enough.
I like that.
Me too.
There's a lot of tenderness in leaving a little room around things, not pinning them down too quickly.
Letting them breathe.
Yes, letting them breathe.
Maybe the language is at its best when it does that. Not when it controls experience, but when it accompanies it.
Walks beside it.
Exactly.
I think I'll carry that with me today. Just paying attention to which words make the day close up and which ones leave a window open.
That feels very calm.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes, a room, a window, some air moving through.
Nothing dramatic.
No, just enough to change the feeling of being there.
Which in the end is often how life changes anyway.
Quietly.
Quietly.
Thanks for spending this time with us.
We really enjoyed having you here and sharing this conversation.
Keep listening
And we'll see you soon.
here at English Coffee House.